Welcome. Thank you for joining me here for this Yin Yoga class. My name is Adam Stonebreaker, and I'm a meditation and a yoga teacher, and I'm happy to bring these classes to you. And so today is a class about the fire element, and so we're going through all of the elements. Before we actually get into that, just a few notes on props. As you can see here, I have a yoga mat with a blanket sort of stretched along the mat. Just something I like to do. It just helps give a nice, cushy, soft surface. And sometimes I like to do a little bit of sliding on the actual mat. And if it's sticky, then you can't really slide. So that's why I do that. Also, you might want an extra blanket, just for a little bit of extra cushioning. A prop is nice to have, a yoga prop, a bolster. They're all props, I guess. But a bolster, it doesn't have to be an official yoga bolster. It can just be a pillow off of your bed or off your couch, cushion off your couch, something like that. And then some type of block is nice to have as well. All right, so I think that's it. Now, the fire element is an interesting one, and it's associated, as would make sense, with the heart. But unlike the other four elements, the fire element has four meridians associated with it. So we have the heart, the small intestine, the pericardium, and the triple burner. The triple burner is a specific organ to Chinese medicine. And it's not even really an organ. You could think of it as fascial compartments that splits the torso into three. And so you have your digestive system, lower intestines, all about elimination, and then assimilation here in the middle part, the liver and things like this, and then this upper part, the lungs and the heart. Don't have a lot of time to get into that today, but that's basically what it is. Three fascial compartments that contain specific organs that have similar function. And then the pericardium is actually the fascial envelope or the fascial package, the fascial enclosement around the heart. And so that's treated as a completely separate organ because it has meridian energy running through it. These meridians in the fire element reside in the arms and go up through the chest and across. So we'll be doing some shoulder work, some arm work, and things like that today. And when you think of fire energy, again, it's pretty obvious what it would be, like joy and passion and heart and things like this. And we tend to think of fire as being formless and wild and characteristics like that, which is true. That is a characteristic. But you have to think of the elements in relationship with all of the others. So what does the balanced fire look like? So the balanced fire is not something that would be out of control and wild. It would actually be something that's fairly contained, and I like to think of it like a smoldering hot fire. You know, something that sustains over a long period of time, where those hot coals are there and they're very, very hot. They're putting out a lot of energy, but they're efficiently burning the material that's there. So it's not too high, it's not too wild, where everything gets burnt up really quickly. What we want is this like nice, slow, steady, efficient burn throughout. Yeah, sometimes we need a little wildness to balance out some of the energies that are more stagnant or more rigid. But when the fire gets out of control, we need to bring in stuff that is more stable, more energetically rigid, perhaps, something like that. So again, this nice, steady, slow burn is what we're after. So let's just get started on the back. I'll have more to say about this as we move. We'll practice for about an hour. Try to keep it at an hour. And so we'll just come to the back and we will just pause. You can come into Shavasana, the arms out to the side. And just take some breaths here. As always, we're looking for balance. And so feeling the grounding, feeling the earth beneath, but then feeling this kind of aspirational openness in the front body. Yeah, the fire, the heat rising up. Yeah, and then just bring your arms out to the side, out to a T. Yeah. Just feel the kind of an openness across the inner arms and the chest and the shoulders. Almost like there's a single channel that's moving from right to left, left to right. Feeling into the heart space. Yeah, and then just bring the arms up. Bring the palms together. Do something very simple here. So we're going to just drop over to the right, let's say, but as you do this, brush the left fingertips along the inner right arm, and then come across. The left hand comes across to that left shoulder. Yeah, and then across again, and then lifting back up, brushing the other way, and then dropping over to the left. The right hand brushes the inside of the left arm. Yeah, pretty simple. I really like this. And then come all the way back up. And then brushing. Maybe you push a little bit harder. You might just brush, but you might press in a little bit. Maybe you just go to the heart. You don't have to go all the way to the opposite shoulder unless you want to. Come up. And then just come across. I really like this. So brushing the inside of the arm. This inside is the yin side. So yin side, the smooth side. Yeah. Good. Yeah, and then you might even turn the palm towards the ground and brush up that yang side or the outside, and then kind of twist around and do the other one. I like to do both sides, just because it makes sense to me that you would do both. And it also, you might notice the interesting feeling here. Not only energetically and physically in the arms, but also the shoulders. So the shoulders and the chest, how does this express in the body as you move through this simple movement? And it can be nice to pause. On one side or the other side. Yeah, and then just come back to center, and then just bring the arms wide again. Very simple. Yeah, and then let's just walk our feet in. Bring the heels in a little close to the body. Yeah, and then keep the arms wide for now. Bring the feet a little bit wide. And then just drop the knees from side to side very slowly, but really let go. Reach out of the opposite arm. So my knees are over to the right, so I reach out of the left arm. And then inhale back up to center, and then exhale over to the other side. Reach out of the right arm. Back up to center, and then over to the right. And then inhale. When I think of fire, I used to, again, think of it like a really raging type of thing. But the image that comes to mind, if you've ever been camping, or if you've ever, had a fireplace in your house, and you go to bed and the fire's still burning, and you wake up in the morning and there's still those coals going. Yeah, like, how does that little bit of material goes so long throughout the night, and it's still hot? Yeah, that's what we're going for, that really efficient, long burning, hot fire. And then coming back to center. Yeah. Now let's bring the hands back up, palms together, and then reach the fingertips toward the ceiling, so the shoulder blades protract a bit. Yeah. Now, we're going to keep the palms together, and now as the knees drop over to the right, just bring the palms over to the left. Now this isn't very easy, so you don't have to go very far. And then come back to center, and then come over left, and then the palms move to the right. And now the knees don't have to drop all the way down here. They can just sort of go halfway. That makes it easier for you. You'll still get the benefit. Yeah, maybe even more benefit, actually. Yeah. Now we're going to add another element here. So as my knees drop to the left, hands go to the right, bring your head to the left as well. So the head and the knees coordinate. And then the hands are on their own right now. Yeah. So the head goes to the right, knees go to the right, hands to the left, back to center. When you come back to center, reach the fingertips up and then keep going. So every time you come back to center, you reach the fingertips up. Now we're going to add another element here. Knees to the left, head to the left, hands to the right, eyes to the right. So the eyes stay on the hands. Yes, the head and the eyes go in opposite directions. So knees to the right, head to the right, eyes to the left, hands to the left. Oh, so the brain's having to work here. Yeah, a few times here. A few more times. Okay, back to center. Reach the fingertips up to the ceiling, and then just bring the arms nice and wide here. Stretch the legs out. Pause. Notice how this feels in the body. Let's walk the legs toward each other. So inner legs together, press the heels, spread the toes, interlace the fingers, press the palms, so the heels and the palms go in opposite directions. Lifting and lengthening. Good. Let's keep the right arm raised, bring the left arm to the side, relax the legs, and then just start to turn over to your right side. Pause here. You might tuck the knees in. Yeah, and then press your left hand into the ground and then come up. Okay. Welcome to upright. Now, you might want to use your blanket here. And I like to bring it wide like this. And we're just going to start in, give you a couple of options here. You might want your bolster or pillow. I often like to start classes like this. So, but maybe, I'll show you a couple of different options. You might not want to use your bolster. So one option is to bring the knees wide with the feet close together and come into a wide-kneed child's pose. And what we want to do with the bolster is rather than put it under the chest, put it under the hands or the arms. The forearms might actually be better for some. If you need to, you could put a block under your head here. But what we're trying to do is kind of stretch underneath the arms here. And I like to keep the hands fairly active. Yeah, so I'm just kind of spreading the fingers. The other option is to not use the bolster and to just come to the fingertips. I like the head on the block just because it just gives it somewhere to rest. But you don't have to. The other option here is to come into what we call frog. You might come into frog after a couple minutes in wide-kneed child's pose, and I'll give you a reminder. So we're going to be here for a few minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe. So with frog, you just bring the hips and the knees in line, and then bring the feet wider. Yeah. And then same thing here. Bolster, forearms or elbows, and then come down. Or the fingertips. So that should give you something to do. If you can't do any of those things, it might be best to just come to the back and do happy baby. And so you just come to the back, grab the outsides or the insides of the feet or the big toes, and just let those inner legs open up. And when you do that, you want to let your shoulders relax. So the weight of the arms, you're not pulling the legs, the feet, the weight of the arms is providing the pressure. Yeah. Yeah, just breathe. It's a little more active. The upper body, the tissues are much smaller. The bones are smaller as compared to the lower body. The bones are smaller, the muscles are smaller, the fascial planes are much thinner. And so we don't have to hold as long. And so really the upper body benefits more from movement and from engagement, though we do some passive things here, and there's some passive stuff going on in this pose. And so, yeah, you can feel, you can engage, it's fine. Yeah. If you think about it, the shoulders and the arms aren't really built to hold the weight of the body. We can work up to it, but they're not really made for that. So we have to work up to it. So we don't want to go do too much too soon. Gradual is the path. Yeah, so the fire element is associated again with passion and joy. It's very external. And as far as traditional yoga goes, it's very much associated with bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is the yoga of devotion, or the yoga of the heart. And no matter what sort of spiritual tradition you're in, there's always heart practices. So if you're a Christian, there's singing and worship and prayer that opens up the heart and creates that connection. In bhakti yoga, we do kirtan and sing chants in various songs and shlokas, and to build that heart energy, to create that connection. And so connection is another characteristic of fire, or of the heart. In Buddhism, we chant. In Sufism, you say the names of God. Saying the names of God is a central part of many different religions. And so this connection with something bigger than yourself, this passion, this heart practice is so important. And important in the yoga tradition, but all spiritual traditions. So fire is what helps us to do that. Sometimes we can become too rigid in our spiritual practice. It becomes very heady, or all about perfection or the body. And the fire kind of comes in and burns some of that rigidity up. It's really beautiful. So we want to have some type of practice that allows us to bring the heart in, to soften some of those hard edges. Okay, so we're going to come out of this. If you are in wide-knee child's pose, you can just come back and walk the knees in and come into a child's pose, or come all the way out to your belly, which is what we're all going to do. If you're in frog, I like to come up, and then first thing I like to do is bring the feet together, sit back towards the heels, and then help the knees in, because those inner legs are pretty vulnerable, and either sit back like this, or come into child's pose, or just come all the way out to your belly. Again, that's where we're all going to end up. When you come down to the belly, you can just stack your hands, put your forehead on your hands. And I know for many people it's uncomfortable to lie on the belly, so you could just lie on the side. Lying on the side is great. There's lots of statues of the Buddha lying on his side. Good. And now just keeping your hands on your head on your hands like this, or coming up towards a Sphinx pose. Just tuck your toes and press your heels back so the knees lift. Quadriceps engage. And the pubic bone presses down. Yeah, and then lift your navel towards your chest. So just a little bit of activity here before we go into some more passive back bends. And then if your head's still down, you can bring it up and come into this Sphinx posture. And then press into your toes and bring the feet flat. And then if you've done Sphinx pose before, we're just gonna do the same Sphinx pose. We're gonna rearrange the arms. And so what we're gonna do here is just line up the elbows. Palms can be down or up. I prefer down. And then lift the chest into the arms. So if you can't see what I'm doing, I'll turn around here in a moment. Once you get here, you might choose to tuck the toes and press the heels again. Yeah. Some people like to kind of hug themselves here, grab their shoulders. What we're doing is protracting the shoulder blades. And there's a little more activity here because I'm pressing into the elbows and lifting the chest kind of between the arms. So kind of trying to broaden the collarbones. So the arms are like this. Yeah. Again, like that. Or down. Whatever way works. Okay, not here long. It's pretty active. And again, it doesn't matter what elbow you have in front. We're going to switch it up here in a moment, in a couple minutes. just you remember what elbow's in front. So you might note, oh, left's in front, right's in front. I also like to stay active in the hands, so spreading the fingers wide. And again, you can tuck your toes and activate the legs if that's helpful to you. Again, protracting the shoulder blades. Those meridians run up the arms, inner and outer, and some go across the upper shoulder blade and behind the neck and things. And so, just kind of turning all that energy on. Good. Okay. And now you can come down again to your hands, forehead on the hands, and then just slide one of your knees next to your hip. Yeah. Doesn't matter which one. Okay, let's slide that left leg long again. Tuck toes, press heels, lift legs, press pubic bone down. And then come up, and then switch up the cross of your arms. About 2.5 minutes here, not long. Again, you can keep the feet engaged, or the legs engaged, or you can flatten the feet out. With the breath, I like to keep just a slight ujjayi breath. If you don't know what that is, ujjayi breath is just a little bit of restriction to the back of the throat, kind of like when you whisper. So when you whisper, you're closing off your throat a little bit. It's that same mechanism, but applied to the breath. So I whisper, or I can. Maybe you've been in yoga class before and you've heard people breathing like that. It doesn't have to be loud. It could just be a very slight one, and that's actually how it should be. You should be the only one able to hear it. And what that can do is it can build some fire in you. But what's even more importantly, the thing that it does is it makes you more aware of the breath and more mindful. So it kind of draws the mind into the body. It's a really valuable concentration tool, but also a really nice energetic tool. Okay, you can begin to come down now, and we'll bring the head down and then slide the opposite knee. The knee that you didn't do last time. And come down just for a minute. Okay, slide that leg long once again and just pause here. Neutral, passive, feel. Good, and then tuck your toes, press your heels, engage the legs, press the pubic bone down. And then come up. Press your elbows down, lift your chest, and then lift the navel towards the sternum. Just a little bit of engagement. Yeah, and now you can let go of that. And then just press back. And we're going to come to a seat. Now, you might want to sit up on a blanket. I have a bolster, little bean bag here that I like to sit on. And we're just going to just pause here and do this really nice breathing exercise that I like to do. Call it fan hands. Yeah. And so the way we do this is just pause for a moment. Feel the body. Yeah, and then bring the arms out to the side, palms up. Yeah. So as you inhale, we're going to slowly make a fist, starting with the pinky. So we inhale, pinky, ring finger, middle finger, index finger, thumb, and then kind of like you make a muscle, lift the shoulders up towards the ears. And then exhale, we press the hands forward, like we're pushing a wall away. And then turn the palms over, same thing here. So we inhale, make that fist, lifting the shoulders up, and then we press out like we're pushing, again, 2 walls away. Yeah, inhale, make that fist. And we're using a lot of muscular energy here. Pushing, lifting the chest, lifting the belly. And then inhale. So firing up these muscles of the arms, these meridians of the arms, this movement of energy, and then pressing. This is a really nice breathing exercise. It's good to balance out energy. But also if you're pretty tense, you can really work with that tension with this breath. Yeah, because you can be as strong with it as you want to be. This is the last one here. And then press out. And then just bring the hands to the lap or the legs. And breathe. Just feel What do you feel here? Good. And then just let's bring the arms wide again. And then we're going to bring the right arm underneath the left arm. And then either grab opposite shoulders or wrap the arms around each other into eagle. Garudasana arms or eagle arms. Yeah, now press the arms into each other. Notice when you do that, what happens in the shoulder blades. And then press the arms into the collarbones while you lift the collarbones into the arms. So again, pretty engaged here. And then on an inhale, let's lift the arms up away from the chest. As you lift the chest though, almost like the chest is lifting the arms. And then send the fingertips toward the wall behind you, or you could think of the forearms going towards the ceiling. And then exhale, just pull the elbows in and round forward. Yeah. Doesn't have to be a lot of movement. Do this 3 times. Inhale, lifting. And then exhale, rounding. And try to really round the upper spine. So we don't want to just collapse down. We're rolling down so the upper spine rounds. Yeah, inhale back up. And then exhale. Yeah. Come back to center, release, press the hands away. So I'm pressing the heel of the hand away and then bringing the chest forward. So my shoulder blades are actually retracting, moving in toward each other. So I'm bringing my chest forward. Yeah, and then bring the arms forward again. This time the opposite thing happens. So the left arm goes underneath. Press the arms into one another. Lift the chest into the arms, arms into the chest. Lift the belly. So I'm really lifted here. Not to the point of where I can't breathe, but just nice and lifted. Yeah. And then we're going to inhale. Lift the forearms toward the ceiling. So arching, and then exhale. Again, rounding. So we're pulling the elbows into the chest and round in the upper back. You don't even have to come that far forward. We're just trying to round the upper back where the shoulders are. And then inhale, come back up. And then exhale, come back down. Inhale, back up. Lift. Look up. And then exhale. Come back to center. Press the hands out again. Heel of the hands presses out. Hands go toward the wall behind you, and the chest comes forward. Okay, so the chest broadens, the collarbones broaden, but the shoulder blades retract. They come in. And then pause. Yeah. And so you might notice some energetic movement, some physical things going on. Some fluids moving around. It is the energy, the chi, that moves the fluids. So fluid movement, energetic movement, very similar. All right, and so what we're going to do here, again, 2 options. Bringing the legs wide, so we call this Dragonfly. Even if you're in Dragonfly, you could lift the knees, put blankets or blocks underneath the knees. That works well. Yeah, like that. The other option is to bring the soles of the feet together and you'll have to bring them in pretty tight and maybe even sit up a little bit higher if you do it this way, because we're going to do some stuff on the ground in front of us. Okay? If those don't work, then just a nice Sukhasana, just a nice easy pose like this. Yeah. So I like to do Dragonfly, so I'm going to do that. And we're going to do just some wrist stretching, some forearm stretching here before we come into the full pose. But before we come into the full pose, you might just press your heels, spread the toes, just kind of be a little bit more active here. Sometimes I'll even grab the inner legs and lift the chest and rock a little bit. Just waking up some of that tissue. Good stuff. And then we're just going to take the hands and then face the palms toward me. Fingertips come to the ground. And then just bring the wrist toward the ground. Yeah. Don't come all the way down. As you can see, I'm not all the way down. You might even bring the hands closer if you need. So what we're trying to do is just stretch out the forearm, the yin side, the inside of the forearm. You might get up into the bicep too. And the hands and the wrist. And you don't have to put a lot of weight into it. You can just as soon as you feel something, just stop there. And then notice if you're contracting in your triceps or anything. See if you can just relax. And just let gravity take hold here. I'm just here for about 2 minutes, minute and a half, something like that. Yeah, just another minute and 10 seconds or so. And just breathe. If you need to let off a little bit, do that. Again, we're not trying to do anything extreme. Again, little by little by little by little is the way to go. We can't skip over. When we skip over steps, then the likelihood of injury, getting hurt, is much higher, and that sets us back even more. So little by little, less. It's always advisable. You might notice a little bit of opening happening, maybe not. Good, and come up. Rest the hands. Let them be relieved. And then slowly start to introduce a little bit of movement, just moving the wrist around, making a fist and extending the fingers. So yeah, we use our hands and our wrists and our, all the time, but, we need to spend some devoted time to them. So they're more than tools. They're actually body parts that we care about and take care of. So now we're going to do another, the stretch the other way. And so the back of the hand faces me now. Yeah. Or faces your computer. And then bring the fingertips down, probably a little bit closer to the body. And then we're just going to bring the wrist forward. Yeah. I like to kind of turn the elbows in, as you can see, but that's just because of the shape of my arms. I want that stretch. See if I can get it up the forearm this way. When was the last time you stretched like that? This. All the body needs stretching and attention. The arms are no exception. This is a way of stretching that was really sensitive to me when I first started doing it, because I realized how I'd never done it before. But strength, lots of strength is built there over time, where it was really difficult for me even to do this and put any weight into it at one point. Now I can put a fair amount of weight into it because it's strengthened over time. So you give things attention and they respond. The body is built to respond and adapt. Good, just a few more seconds here. And then slowly let off. Pause, just let the hands rest at first. And then just start to move. Again, you may have to wait a little bit longer. I'm someone who's used to this, so yeah, fists. Moving the hands around. Okay. Nice. And then next we'll just fold forward, just to get into the inner legs a bit. Yeah. And so it doesn't have to be much. Maybe even just sit up like this. This is something that I like to do. Just stay here. Sometimes I come forward, and sometimes I'll use my pillow or bolster to bring the elbows to. Doesn't have to be much. Again, it's not about these big giant sensations. It's just about getting in a little bit, little by little by little. Just 3 minutes. Feel the vibrancy that comes. Okay, you can begin to come up now. And grab the inner legs and let's come into just a cross-legged posture, Sukhasana. Okay, so for our next posture, we're going to use the bolster. Again, if you just have a pillow, you could even use some blankets wrapped around each other. You want it to be fairly firm with a little give. So we're just going to lay it across the mat like that. You might need a block, so just keep that handy if you have one, or something soft. And then if you have a strap lying around, I didn't recommend this at the beginning, just because it's not really required. If you have a strap laying around, you can use it. You just want to make it, make a loop and make it about shoulder width. Yeah, just about shoulder width, maybe a little bit less actually than shoulder width. Just depends. So we're just going to sit in front of the bolster, and this might take you a few times to get this. And basically, we want the edge of the top of the shoulder blades to be at the edge of the top of the bolster. So just like this. So I'm here. And then I can let my head fall off the back. So this is where the block would come in if you need. If you need a block back here, if it's not comfortable to let your head hang. Ideally, the head is on the ground. So again, it's that edge of the top of the shoulder blades. And then the legs are straight out. And then the arms reach up. You can either reach out of the fingertips, or you could grab opposite elbows. But if you have that strap set up I was talking about, you can put the arms through the strap. So you would just do something like up by the forearm, up by the elbow, kind of like that, and reach like that. And I'm pretty active with it as well. So I'm reaching, not rigid, not like super active, but a little bit active. I'm pressing the arms into the edge of the strap. Yeah. So, or again, opposite elbows. We don't want the elbows, the arms floating in space. So if that's not, if you're not able to get the arms to the ground, then just reach the fingertips up. The legs can be passive, but I actually like to just make them a little bit active so the heels are pressing slightly. Yeah, and just be there. Just a few minutes here. And if it gets too tiring with the arms, then you just switch positions. It's always allowed. All these heart openers, the front body openers, the opening across the arms, the shoulders. They're very vulnerable places to be. There's a vulnerability involved in this element. Our typical protection response is to ball up and shut off our front body. And this practice is asking us to really open up in the front. And so notice any of those kind of feelings that might come up. And it's okay to be with them. This is what fire is teaching us, is how to be vulnerable, open, joyous, to give our devotion to something greater than ourselves. And so there's a sense of trust that's involved here. And that's the big lesson for the fire element. is intimacy. Intimacy with all things. Okay, you can choose to stay in this posture if you'd like to, but when you're ready, you just come off. You can roll off the side of the bolster, or just sit up and remove the bolster, and just come down flat to your back, and bring the arms nice and wide. Bring the legs nice and wide. You might even bring the arms above the head like a star, like a 5-pointed star. And you're just kind of feeling that slow burning fire in the body. That efficient use of chi. The material for vibrancy. I'm just going to let you lie here as long as you'd like to. Yeah. I want to thank you deeply for your practice, for taking this time to explore this fire energy. If you want to message me, I'd be more than happy to start a conversation with you. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate. I do many trainings about the elements and longer classes and retreats and workshops and things like that. So you could check out my website, which you can find a link to in my profile here. I also do one-on-one work involving meditation and mindfulness and self-inquiry. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I really appreciate you being here, and hopefully it was useful for you. Have a really wonderful day. Namaste.